Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another recreational programming session with Mr. Zozin. So the other day I was exploring different ideas for different topics to stream. And one of such ideas involved doing FFI with Node.js. I'm not going to disclose the idea yet. If it's a good idea, maybe we're going to actually do a stream on that idea. But today we're going to be doing a different thing. So obviously, naturally, what I did, I just Googled up how to do FFI for Node.js. And first of all, it's not even called FFI. It is not even called FFI. Since Node.js developers are web developers, they're not really familiar with system programming languages terminology. They call it add-ons, right? Because web developers, browsers had add-ons, so they kind of like did like 2 + 2, and that's how they call it. So it's not FFI. It's not even called FFI. But the second thing that I noticed is that you can only write add-ons in C++, apparently, at least after brief research. Apparently you can only write add-ons in C++ because Node.js is just a strip of V8 engine, and V8 engine is written in C++. So to integrate with V8 engine, you kind of have to use C++. And upon briefly looking through that, my first thought was, that is fucked up. My second thought was, that is fucked up enough for an entire stream. So, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Let's actually go ahead and fucking learn this abomination. Like, holy fuck. In any sane programming language, FFI is actually pretty straightforward. You have some C functions and you have a way to just call that C function. Here, in this motherfucker, you have to write an entire C++ wrappers around your shit. Damn, bruvskis. Anyway, so sounds kind of interesting, sounds kind of fun. Let's fucking go, let's fucking explore. So how do you even write add-ons for Node.js? C++ add-ons. Add-ons are dynamically, we're gonna TTS a little bit, right? So, but bear with me. Add-ons are dynamically linked shared objects written in C++. So maybe I'm gonna actually zoom in a little bit. The require function can load add-ons as ordinary Node.js modules. That's actually kind of cool, right? So maybe that's why it has to be like complicated in C++, because you have to interface with JavaScript, right? And JavaScript, like objects, they usually have like these methods and fields, and maybe C++ just naturally fits in there, right? C is a little bit too simplistic for all of that, but we'll see. Addons provide an interface between JavaScript and C/C++ libraries. Okay, so they actually include C in here, but we'll see. There are three options for implemented add-ons. So it's even more fucked up than I originally thought. Okay, so Node API, that's pretty cool. Native abstraction from Node.js, NAN. That is a very fucking ironic name for JavaScript API. I hope they did it fucking intentionally. I really hope they did it intentionally. And it actually links. Oh, it's an entire fucking package. Damn. It's an entire holy, it's. Oh. Like, I was hoping that it's just like gonna be like a single C++ file. I compile it to SO and then I can require that SO. I kind of don't want to deal with a separate entire project of C++, so maybe I'm gonna just kind of, don't do that. Direct use of internal V8, libuv, and Node.js libraries. This actually sounds like a good idea, actually. So maybe we're gonna go that route specifically. Something actually got stuck in my eye. Anyways, so this is what Node.js programming does to you. Unless there is a need for direct access to functionality which is not exposed by Node API, right? Node API, use Node API. Refer to C++ add-ons with Node API for more information on Node API. They mentioned, man, like if I, how many times they meant? Okay, this particular browser doesn't actually show all of the highlights, but they mentioned Node API way too many times in my opinion. Right, so add-ons with Node API. Okay, so maybe we're gonna go with that one, but I kind of like the idea of direct usage of internals of V8, libuv, and Node.js libraries, because it kind of fits my my style. It kind of fits my spirit, right? So I kind of like this. Right, so hacking on a low level. So I think I'm gonna go with the direct usage of V8 internals and stuff like that. I hope I don't have to build an entirety of V8 from scratch for that. When not using Node API, implementing Addons becomes more complex, requiring knowledge of multiple components and APIs. Smarter people than you already did everything for you, damn. Like all of the web technologies are so fucking condescending. It's kind of insane. Like every time I read any documentation for any web technologies, it's actually fucking deeply insulting. Like, why are they all so goddamn condescending? Like, holy fuck. But anyway, let's continue. Maybe it is actually too complex for me, for my small brain. We'll see. So V8, the C++ library Node.js uses to provide the JavaScript implementation. It provides the mechanism for creating objects, calling function, etc. So the V8's API is documented mostly in the v8.h header file. Depths V8 include V8 in the Node.js source tree and also available online. Okay, so here is the V8 documentation. So is that a versions? Okay, 24. If I go here, so here is the API. Okay, this looks pretty serious. Right, so maybe we're gonna look into that at some point. I know that libuv is kind of like an input-output library of some sort, right? So and if I understand correctly, Node.js is just a glue code around this bunch of libraries like V8, libuv, and so on and so forth, right? So it's just like, does it even introduce anything new, or it just glues all of these libraries that are implemented by smarter people like together? Lib ultraviolet, maybe that's what it stands for, but it's like a cross-platform asynchronous IO. Sounds like a pretty cool topic. I think I should actually explore this entire thing at some point, but we'll see. So anyways, the C library that implements the Node.js event loop, its worker threads and all of the asynchronous behavior of the platform. Man, they didn't even implement their own event loop. They used the library for event loop. Anyway, it also serves as a cross-platform abstraction layer, given any POSIX, giving easy POSIX-like access across all major operating systems to many common system tasks, such as interacting with the file system, sockets, timers, and system events. libuv also provides a threading abstraction similar to POSIX threads for more sophisticated asynchronous add-ons that need to move beyond the standard event loop, not just the event loop, beyond the standard event loop. Add-ons authors should avoid blocking the event loop with IO or other time-sensitive tasks by offloading work via libuv to non-blocking system operations working thread or custom use of libuv's. Holy fucking shit. Anyway. Internal Node.js libraries. Node.js itself exports C++ APIs that add-ons can use, the most important of which is node-object-wrap class. Other statically linked libraries including OpenSSL. These other libraries are located in the depths directory in the Node.js source tree. Only the libuv, OpenSSL v8, and zlib symbols are purposefully re-exported by Node.js and may be used to various extents by add-ons. See linking libraries including Node.js for additional information. All of the following examples are available for download and may be used as a starting point for add-ons. Okay, so if I understand correctly, Node.js is just like an executable that glues together a bunch of like different libraries. And if you write an add-on, it's going to be a DLL or SO, which is going to be just DL opened by the interpreter. And since it's DL opened by the interpreter, it just has an access to all of these libraries that are glued together, right? So, and you can just poke into them and just use them. So this is how I understand that. SO stands for shared object. Good at cheeseburgers, right? So it's basically the Linux's DLL, right? So this is how we call DLLs on Linux. So, yeah, exactly, so. All right, so let's write hello world. This hello world example is a simple add-on written in C++ that is equivalent of the following JavaScript code. Okay, so this is basically a module, right? So which exports a hello function that returns world. And this is how much freaking C++ code you have to write to achieve just a fraction of this power. Sounds interesting. So you also have to include node.h. And where do I get node.h? Right, do I need the source code of Node, or is it available with the distribution of Node? So let's actually go and see. So they have, okay, so here is the Node. And as far as I know, I'm using like a custom Node, which is installed in OPT and stuff like that. So let's actually go ahead and, oh yeah. This is a leftover from my NVM tweets, right? So people who follow me on Twitter probably know what I'm talking about, right? So I don't use NVM. At least I didn't see a purpose for NVM yet. Maybe at some point I start using NVM, but so far, this is how I manage several versions of Node.js. So yeah, like this is how I do that, right? So I have just like path pointed at node bin, right? And depending on what version of the node I need, I just like reset the symlink and stuff like that. So that's how I do that. So which is rather convenient for me. But again, like I'm not saying that I'm never going to be using NVM. What I'm saying is that I so far didn't see a use case for myself. Right, so maybe at some point I will see a use case, but so far I don't see it. Oh, we have include folder. Do we? Okay, so ooh, okay, so here it is. So, all right, what do we have in here? So they are using like a namespace demo. Oh, it's a demo. For some reason I read it as node. So do we have any interesting, holy shit. Ooh, so V8, so there's, it already kind of forward declares some of the, that is interesting. Do I have even, I have all of the headers. Bravskis. Like, we don't need the source code of Node.js or anything. Like, we just have all of the headers, like V8, they are all there. We can just use this shit. What the fuck? Yo. Okay, let's fucking go. So maybe let's just do some like a simple hello world and shit. So node addon hello world. Okay, so I'm gonna just create CPP, but they say it has to be CC. I kind of don't like that, right? So I like to call it CPP because this is how I learned it, like back in the days when I studied to learn C++. It's not echo, it's hello. Right, so let's try to just include node, and it's called H. Not even HPP, it's called H. So what I want to try to do, I want to try to just build it as it is and see what kind of errors we're going to encounter. First of all, we're going to probably encounter an error that it couldn't find node.h. Right, so where is my makefile? And I want to just build an like object, right? Not shareable object, but just a regular object. So hello CPP, so G++, and I'm gonna do C, right? So which means that compile but do not link. Just compile, do not link. Let's enable all of the warnings and some of the extra warnings for that extra checking. And as you can see, it says that it couldn't find hello world, which is understandable. So let's actually point at that include folder we discovered. So it's actually kind of cool that it just comes with all of that stuff. I think it is rather useful. So here is this stuff. So here is the home, and this is opt node include. All right, so I'm gonna specifically use symlink so I can actually point to different versions of Node.js if needed. And now if I try to build this entire stuff, it still couldn't find shit. That is very fucking cool. I wonder why. Oh, because it's a makefile. So in makefile, to actually expand a variable, you have to wrap it in parentheses, right? So otherwise you get shit like that, right? So it's just, it assumed that my variable is one character. If you have multi-character variables, you have to put parentheses. Classic make, yeah, classic make. Holy shit! And we already get shit ton of... We haven't even started yet. We just included the header. You know what I'm talking about, right? So this is exactly why I decided to do this stream, right? So because it required only a brief look at that, And I realized this is fucked up enough for an entire stream. Fucked up enough for an entire stream. C++20, well, apparently we have to use C++20. Like, yeah, like this is the modern, it's a cutting edge technology. Guys, you don't understand. Node.js is a cutting edge technology. And a cutting edge technology requires the latest C++. You guys don't understand. Anyways, so like, how do I even enable that? So is there like std? So there should be something like std. Okay, and I would like to see what kind of, you know, stds are available for me. Can I have something like list, or can I have something like help? There's no way for me to know all of the available standards and shit. So the only thing I can do is probably, you know, just like try to assume, you know, C++20. Is that how we do that? Like, I feel like this is how we do that. Right, so let's fucking go. And what does it say? It says a bunch of warnings, right? So, but it doesn't error out anymore. Was it erroring out in the past? Was it erroring out in the past? I'm not quite sure. So let's actually remove that super quick. And let's actually do B. Yeah, it was erroring out. C++20 or later is required. Okay, so that means this thing is actually important. And it is complaining about just unused variables, unused parameters and stuff like that. Man, I haven't programmed in C++ for so long, I forgot how huge errors in C++ are. So, so I think on Twitter the other day I saw that there is a competition among C++ programmers to generate the longest error message. So, and like the world record is just like a several gigabytes or something. Have you guys seen that? It was like viral on Twitter for some time. It's just like, so yeah, it is a thing. Recursive templates, yeah. So, and its world record is just like several gigabytes of error messages from just like a few lines or something. Several gigabytes, like 2 or 3 gigabytes. So anyway, all right. So we managed to create a single object, right? So we managed to create that. So let's freaking go. So we have to, yeah, we included that, and we need to create a method. So all Node.js add-ons must export an initialization function following the pattern. Void initialize local object. Oh, this is the exports, right? So if you take a look at the JavaScript code, here is the like exports, usual, you know, Node.js module stuff, right? So, and this is how you do that, right? So essentially the exports will be passed to you, and in initialization, you're going to be adding methods and stuff like that through this macro. Node set method, right, into exports. Here's the name of the method. You set the method, and here is the method itself. Pretty straightforward, right? So, but on top of that, you also have to register. You also have to register your module. So I think we should try to make even simpler hello world. Let's not do hello world, but let's try to make an empty C++ module. Right, the like empty initialization that doesn't do anything. Let's try to make that compile and then require, right? Because I think even that is a little bit too complicated for the first thing that you try. So anyway, so let's go ahead and try to do that. Maybe I'm gonna just put it like that. So void initialize. So, and we have to provide local object. I'm not quite sure if we need a namespace. I feel like namespace is kind of optional. I feel like namespace is kind of optional. So here's the exports, and we're literally not gonna do anything, right? So then in here we have to register node module, and we have to provide this node-gyp module name. I have no idea what gyp stands for, so it's kind of interesting. Though we have node.h, don't we? So let's actually see. Right. So where is that? Usage if no module is node module is declared, Node.js looks for the well-known symbol node register module v and the version of this kind of thing. Interesting. So they also use x macros. or do they? This is not really an X macro. So what is it? It uses C to actually expose your function, right? So it uses C to expose your function. Right, so it's a static, it returns an object. So what it does for your module, it actually declares a global variable with the name module, right? So, and with this specific type, and it has all of this meta information and stuff like that. So this is the register function. So, and I suppose that register function is put into that object. So the way it works, right? So, Node.js interpreter, probably DL opens your DLL or SO and looks specifically for that underscore module name, for that global underscore module name, which is not mangled in any way because it's extern C. As soon as you put something in extern C, it's not going to be mangled and it's literally going to have this specific name. So we're going to look for that, right? And it puts a bunch of information in there since it's like a static object. So Node.js interpreter can just like look up all of this additional information and it just like knows what to do with all of that stuff, right? So yeah, so where is the initialization and so on and so forth? It will call initialization with the experts. So initialization function will register all of the functions into the experts and then it's going to be available for you in Node.js. I think this is how it works. I'm still not sure what the fuck is that gyp, right? So it's kind of a weird name. So maybe there is somewhere a define. There is no name for define for this entire thing. So, but I'm sorry, I just got nerd sniped a little bit, and I'm just like, it's not even defined anywhere in here. So what the fuck? So there's no define. So it's not even a macro per se. It's not defined anywhere. So node module. But anyway, right, so I got Addon nerd snipe, so let's ignore that for now. So this is what we're supposed to do in here. So this is module name, and here is initialization function. So maybe we should print something in that initialization function, you know? Right, maybe we need to include IO string, and in IO string, since we program in C++, we have to go C++ the full way. We have to use that stupid ass std like cout and stuff like that. I know that in latest C++ it got replaced by something like std print. Maybe we should try to use that std print. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and try to do that. Like, I haven't used that stuff. This is like a latest stuff. So C++ println. Let's actually find it. What do I have to include to get an access to all of that? Since C++23, so I'm not sure if it's going to be available for us in C++20, so we'll see. So it has to be print. Right, so here is a println, and yeah, that seems to be right. Anyways, so let's try to maybe build the entire thing, and okay, it shaded a bunch of things. So expert was not declared in the scope. Initialize was not declared in the scope. Object was not declared in the scope. So it complains about the lack of all of these things. So that means we have to, yeah, here they are. So they are available in V8. But we can actually do this kind of thing, right? So we don't have to use using, right? So because we don't use using for std. So what's the best practice in C++? I heard that using a specific thing is like a bad practice in C++, right? So you're supposed to like provide these fields or what? I think using namespace, wait. Using an entire namespace is like a bad practice, right? But just using a specific name is good. But using namespace is bad, something like that. I kind of vaguely remember that. No, it's a based practice. Yeah, I believe you. Stefan. Anyways, so let's try to build this entire scheisse, and it still complains. So let's actually see where I have to like scroll a lot to find an error. Maybe I have to. Okay, so here it is not a member of std. So I suspect Rintel. Damn, what a disgusting name. So I suspect that I have to say it's 23. Is 23 like already stable, or is it still nightly? Like, I'm not very sure. I'm not a C++ developer, so it's already stable. It's not nightly anymore. Okay, so let's try to build that shit. Did it? It built successfully. So it shaded out like a lot of warnings and stuff like that, but at least it built successfully. It's not really an NSO file per se. It's not really an NSO file, but still. So anyways, can we just turn that into an NSO file? That's a good question. So let me give it a try. So we can try to maybe do something like SO, and instead of C, I'm gonna say, okay, create a shared object. Right, so I'm gonna remove that, and I'm gonna just try to see, is it going to do anything? Okay, this is kind of interesting. So we need to probably do this position independent code thingy. So which is generally probably a good idea for like shared objects anyway. So let's go ahead and try to do that. Okay, A out. And if I take a look at this step, okay, it's a shared object. Why did it choose such a stupid name for a shared object? Do I have to do everything myself? Do I have to explicitly say that it's a lib hello, or maybe let's call it hello SO, right? So yeah, can I just like build it like that? So it's gonna be SO file. All right, that's pretty cool. And one other thing I want to do. I want to take a look at the external names that we have in here. Do we have like a module underscore? Or was it an underscore module? Doesn't look like it. Right, so there's this thing. And even though it was under the extern C, it's still mangled like a motherfucker. So I'm not quite sure. Where is it? I don't see it, chat. I actually do not see it. There is a... Okay, so there's a not module register, and I remember the comment talking about this kind of thing, but yeah, so here's the interesting thing. So will I be able to now just require this specific thing in here? So what did they say? So they said that I can just require that SO file. So the require function can load add-ons or ordinary Node.js modules. They don't provide. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that. So I feel like it's not as easy as that. It's not as easy as that, but we can try. We can at least try. So if I do require hello.so, so place your bets, chat. Will that just work? So. It literally tried to open it as a text file and parse it as a JavaScript. Holy shit. Well, which means that this is not how you do that. This is not how you do that. Fascinating. So is that because I have a SO file? No. So this is not how we compile this entire shit. All right, so let's actually keep reading. So keep reading. The intro made it sound like it's super easy, right? You just like create an SO file and you can just require, because they said that the require function can load add-ons as ordinary Node.js modules. Like, false advertisement? Probably, I don't fucking know. So, okay. There is no semicolon after node module as it is not a function. Okay, C Node.js, all right, that's understandable. Context-aware add-ons. So there are environments in which Node.js add-ons may need to be loaded multiple times in multiple contexts. For example, the Electron runtime runs multiple instances of Node.js in a single... A casual info hazard in the documentation. What the fuck? Like, that explains everything. Like, man, what the fuck? So why Discord, right? Oh, they said it in the fucking documentation. They don't even hide it. They've been proud of this shit. Disgusting. Each instance will have its own required cache. And each instance will need a native add-on to behave correctly when loaded via require. This means that the add-on must support multiple initializations. A context-aware add-on can be constructed by using the macro node module initializer, which expands to the name of a function which Node.js will expect to find when it loads an add-on. An add-on can thus be initialized as in the example. Okay, so let's extern C first of all. This is a node module expert. And this is a node module initializer, which contains export module and the context. Perform add-on initialization step here. Okay, that's understandable. So another option is to use the macro node module init, which will also construct a context-aware add-on. So isn't that what we use? No, this is not what we use in there. So I don't care about context-aware, to be fair. Maybe I can skip that entire part in here. So workers support. So we can also do workers. I do not plan to do workers. So the question is, how do I be? Thank you. It predicted what I wanted. Thank you so much. So once the source code has been written, it must be compiled into the binary addon.node file. So it's not a so. Oh, wait a second. Will it just work? Is it just like dependent on an extension? Okay. I'm actually curious. Like, let's see. So if I try to require hello node, holy! It literally looks at the extension. It literally looks at the extension. Holy shit! So yeah, so you just build an SO. But apart from building a SO, you have to rename it. It doesn't have to be an SO. Absolute shredding indeed. Like, damn. Anyways, so we kind of like guessed how to do building. So that means I have to do the following things. So it has to be node, first of all, and output has to be node. So this is how we do that. Let me quickly remove all of that stuff. Let me do that one more time. I'm really bothered by these warnings. Like, I'm not really sure why they're doing all of that stuff, right? So isolate. So if this thing is unused, that means that v8 enable checks was not actually enabled. I wonder if I can, right, just get rid of this warnings if I enable all of that stuff. So hello.cpp, right? So let's try to maybe define enable the checks. So if def no work, it has to be some sort of an expression. Okay. So let's not do that then. All right. Anyway, so I want to read like how exactly you're supposed to build all of this stuff. To do so, create a file named build.gyp in the top level of the project describing the build configuration. Bro, we already successfully built it without your gyp bullshit. What? So in the top level of the project describing the build configuration of the module using a JSON-like format, this file is used by node-gyp, a tool written specifically to compile to Node.js Addons because you are too dumb to do that yourself. Right. Okay, so this is a JSON and this is how we do that. A version of the Node.gyp utility is bundled and distributed with Node.js as part of NPM. Man. And it's a bunch of Python scripts, holy fuck. But we already built it. We already fucking built it without all your gyp shit. Freaking web developers, I swear to God. Okay, so where is the gyp? Like, it's part, they say it's a part of the distributed with Node.js as part of NPM. Like, I don't fucking see that, brovsky. I don't fucking see that. Though it is pointing, you have lib node modules npm, right? So that means here is the node modules npm, and here's a bunch of beans. Maybe not all of the beans are sim linked in there. So do you have? Aha! I see you. I see you. Found you. So this is okay. So it's basically in here, but it's just like not sim linked into bin. It literally not sim linked into bin. So let's actually try to find all of these instances of node.gyp. Like, I'm really curious where it is available. Find, it doesn't have to be a file, just a name that contains one of these things. In how many places? Yeah, so it exists there, but it's just like not available to you unless you explicitly symlink it. Okay. This version is not made directly available for developers to use and is intended only to support the ability to use the npm install command to compile and install add-ons. Developers who wish to use node.gyp directly can install it using command npm install global. Okay, use installation instruction for more information, including platform-specific requirements. Once the build.gyp file has been created, use node.gyp configure to generate the appropriate project build. So, you know, it sounds funnier and funnier, especially after you manage to build it yourself from the fundamentals. Right, so I just know the fundamentals of native applications, of C++, of shared objects and stuff like that, and I just build an extension using those fundamentals. And once you've done that, this reads like a fucking joke. Like, what the fuck are you even saying, broski? Like, whatever I just did is much simpler than whatever you suggest. Like, you have a mess of Pythons. Like, are you okay? Are you even like I understand that it's probably more powerful, more flexible, and takes like, but come on, does it really have to be this complicated? Does it really have to be this complicated? It's just an SO file that is still opened by an interpreter. It's not a rocket science. So node addons can be a single file addons. Can be, I don't know, it's a single file addon, right? So maybe I'm missing something, but yeah, it's just like, and it works, right? It says hello world and stuff like that. Right, and it's an empty object and everything. Like, so should I go into this madness of setting up like node.gyp? What does it even stands for? So what does it stand for, like this gyp? Right, so I keep hearing this name. So general util something. I think I should not go into that because it feels kind of useless. So anyways, we managed to build like an empty thing. So this is just an empty thing. The next step, as already said, we need to have like a function that returns world, right? So we need to have like a method. Maybe we should create like an empty method in that regard, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So the next step is to just register a method. Just go ahead and register a method. So method, it accepts function callback info. That's very interesting. So, and it's a type of arguments. Function callback info. It's a value and it's arguments. Okay, that's very interesting. Anyways, so it's a const function callback info value args, like so. So, and in here, let's not do anything. What's going to happen if we just don't do anything and we simply register this method? So we set in the method into exports and so it has to be a hello method, right? So this is a hello method and we just point it to a method, right? That's what it is. So for now, maybe we can actually say hello world, right? So we're going to say hello world in here. So let's try to rebuild this entire thing. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to build that easily because we're using stuff from the V8, namespace. So we have to do something like this. So this is V8 and this is V8, like so. Can I rebuild this entire stuff? Does it build? It in fact build successfully. That's pretty cool. All right, so let's do maybe something like const, you know, so it could be hello require hello node. There we go. So if I take a look at that, do you see the scheisse? If I call hello, it says hello world. Absolute true. So yeah, you don't need any of that node.gyp or anything. It's just like just build an SO, bro. Just build an SO and rename it to .node. It's that freaking simple. So I really don't want to go into that node.gyp. So I think I'm not going to even touch that node.gyp stuff until I encounter some some problems, right? So runtime crashes or whatever. Only then I'm going to look into that, because so far this is just simpler and this is just easier. So we need a Python script to rename it. Yeah. I don't freaking know. A Raylib speedrun. Okay, so let's actually try to return some sort of a value, like originally intended in this exercise, and we can try to do a Raylib speedrun, right? So that sounds interesting. So we have to do args get isolate. Is there any documentation? There is some documentation on all of these things, in fact. So this is a println. So this is a libuv node API. So here it is. Can I just like put this stuff into the search? Can you even see that search? Can it find? Okay, so here it is. It's just like documentation for ants. What is this documentation for ants? Very, very small documentation. So very small documentation. So there is a get isolates. Okay, so let's take a look. The current isolate. So the method get isolate returns you the current isolate. So what is isolate? Garbage collection type. None of that is documented. Well, there is a little bit of discussion. Isolate represents an isolated instance of the V8 engine. This is an entirety of the V8 engine. Holy shit. Okay, so args are associated with the V8 engine. So what we're doing here, when we get the isolate, we get an entirety of the engine, right? So that's very interesting. Presents an isolated instance of the V8 engine. V8 engine isolates have completely separate states. Objects from one isolate must not be used in other isolates. The embedder can create multiple embedder, I have no idea what the fuck is embedder, can create multiple isolates and use them in parallel in multiple threads. An isolate can be entered by at most one thread at any given time. The locker unlocker API must be used to synchronize. What is this alien technology? I have no idea what the fuck it is talking about. It's so fascinating. I kind of like that. Because it just tickles some nerd inside of me. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand half of the things it's saying, but I'm so fascinated. It's like the Lua state. I see. Interesting. Okay, cool. So that means we just gave the current isolate. It's not globally available, right? So it's not globally available. So you can only get it from some objects that are associated, right? So we got arguments. So we get the isolates for those arguments. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And then we get so this is a function called back and forth. So return value is just one of the parameters of a function called back and forth, and we have to set the return value, and we're setting it by creating a UTF-8 string inside of the same isolate as this function called back and forth. So there's a lot of stuff to unpack in here. I kind of like it. So anyway, so we know what is isolates. So another thing that we're doing here is get return value. Okay, so here's the function get return value, and it returns you an object which is return value. Okay, so return value, look at that. Do you see this shit? This is basically a variant, isn't it? Yeah, it is basically a variant, right? So return value. You know what's interesting is that in V8 there is a value, and return value is kind of similar to value. I wonder if return value kind of inherits the value. Is there any definition for the value? So okay, a function callback. So here is the source code. Return value doesn't really inherit anything. It's like object of its own. I was thinking maybe return value would be just one of the values. So far I kind of understand how this entire thing works, right? So but anyway, So what else do we have in here? So I'm gonna close all of this stuff because it's not really needed. So get return value, we set a value and we create a string new from UTF-8. So what I want to do, I want to open this kind of thing and I want to find their string type because they have a custom string type. So here it is. Here's the oh my god. Damn. And here is the inheritance. Here is the inheritance, right? So string is like a child of a name. Name is child of a primitive, and this one is a child of a value. So we're starting to have hierarchies in here, a proper OOP, or how you're supposed to pronounce it, oop. So that's how you're supposed to pronounce it according to Casey. So it's oop. So new string, new from UTF-8 is a static method. Here it is. Not really from UTF-8 literal. Does it say literal? No, it is without the literal. Here it is. So you accept an isolate within which you want to create a new thing. Then you accept the data of the string. And then you accept string type. There are several types of the string in the V8. Several types. Think about it. So the kind of types you can have is normal, internalized. This is very interesting. So it creates a new string, always allocating new storage memory. Internalized acts as a hint that the string should be created in the old generation heap space and be deduplicated if identical string already exists. So it's sort of like interning, right? Sort of like interning. Do you guys know what is interning? Of like symbols and names and stuff like that. So it's like, let me show you. It is something that we don't do in the B compiler yet, right? So you can have something like this. And so imagine a C program, right? So you include stdio. We're gonna return this and I'm gonna just like say hello world. Right. So what if I print hello world twice? Right, will it create in the executable two strings? If the strings are different, right, so if it's a foobar, let's try to compile this entire thing and let's try to run it. So it's going to main.c. Okay, and if I try to run this entire thing, it prints hello world, foobar. We can go inside of the executable. Let's find hello world. So here it is. Inside of the executable, literally in the binary, we have both hello world and foobar. But what if we just print the same thing twice? Will it literally create the same string two times? Will it do that? So this is a very interesting question, actually. Right, so we recreated the executable. Let's find hello world, right? And look at that. So there's one hello world in here, and there's only one instance of hello world in the entirety of the binary. So it kind of reused the same string. It didn't create two of them, it reused them. I think this is what's called interning. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is what is meant when people say interning strings. No, this is not correct. Okay, so what is interning then? What is interning then? So other people say yes. Okay, so that means I'm right. What if you remove hello? Okay, so this is a good question actually. So now if I open this kind of stuff, so I'm going to revert this just in case. Hello, yeah, there we go. So now we have two strings. So I didn't reuse them. This is indeed a string interning. Thank you so much. So, and I suppose this is what they mean, right? So they probably have some sort of storage, as they say, on a heap, where they allocate strings. And essentially this hints that just if that string already exists somewhere on a heap, just reuse that in a similar fashion, right? So just reuse it in a similar fashion. In fact, I think this kind of leaks through the semantic of the language. You can try to do shit like this, right? So I'm assigning this to S, and then I can do something like this. I can check, is this equal to that? Right, and I'm gonna try to run it, and it says yes. Look at that. So did you know that in C, in pure C, you can compare strings with equals equals and that will actually work? Did you know that? Isn't that amazing? The magic of interning. Well, don't do that actually, right? So because as far as I know, it's not really defined behavior, right? Isn't it? So it's just like, it's the same address purely because it got interned. Right, I wonder if you say something like O0. That doesn't really affect that. It interns them anyway. Right. Operator overloading in C achieved, exactly. Finally. So kind of fun concept to explore. So yes. So far I kind of understand, right? So what all of this stuff does, except toLocal checked. So let's actually see what is toLocal checked. So when you create new from UTF, where is the oh, okay, so toLocal checked is method of the local, I suppose. I can't find any of this scheiße. Okay, so toLocal checked, it's I don't really know what it is, but it just like creates a local or whatever. And what is local? So there should be description somewhere of what is local. An object reference mapped by the V8 garbage collector. All object returned by local handles are lightweight and transient, typically used in local operations, right? So maybe it's just like a local variables, local values, or whatever. Maybe it's not really that important. Okay, so I suppose I kind of understand what all of these things do. So I can safely, more or less, just copy paste that stuff into my code, right? So, and I suppose I can try to rebuild the entire thing. So let's go ahead and do that. Exit it abnormally. It's kind of funny how like it generates so much garbage that the only way for me to jump to an actual error is to search error. Okay, so here is the first error, right? So isolate is probably V8. So, and in here it's a V8 string. So maybe another thing I have to do V8 like that. Okay, so seems to be building, kind of cool. Anyways, so let's do const hello require hello.node. There we go. Here is the hello function, and in here I can do hello. And now what's interesting is that usually if you have some sort of a function in Node.js, right, and it returns something, it's a pure function, it will automatically show you before even if you press enter, right? So if you have something like foo, right, and it's a function that just returns foo, something like that, right? And if you type something like this, as you see, it automatically shows you what's going to be the result. You haven't pressed enter yet, but it shows you the result. Fuck. I fucked it up, but I mean, here we go. So here, it doesn't show you because it's probably a native function. So it's kind of afraid to even call that because it might be unsafe or something like that. So let's go ahead and try to call that thing. And it returned hello. It didn't print hello, by the way. It literally returned that, right? Because this is what we did in V8. We took the function sort of call back and forth. We grabbed its return value and we set its return value to a new string that we constructed on a heap like normally, right? So we did a little bit of a V8 bureaucracy and we managed to return a string. So that's how apparently you do FFI in Node.js, right? So it's not like you can directly use C code in Node.js. You have to sort of like operate with this big machinery of V8 engine. This big machinery of V8 engine, and you have to adapt existing C code to that machinery. So that's probably how it all works. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. So, and people were suggesting to do a Raylib speedrun, which is kind of a cool idea, honestly. But Raylib requires organizing an event loop. Node.js has its own event loop. And it's not even an event loop that they wrote themselves. They're using a separate library to organize event loop, which is libuv, right? So which means that we will have to yeah, we will have to do something like with libuv and stuff like that. Or do we? We can actually organize an event loop in JavaScript with set timeouts. Yeah, we can do that. Like, why not? Like, just with set timeouts. And yeah, I think we don't really need to work with libuv directly. So let's give it a try. So the first thing I want to try to do is to maybe set a new method. So let's do something like InitWindow, right? So this is going to be InitWindow adapter. Is that a good name for this entire thing? InitWindow adapter. This is a very interesting question. And in here, so we're just going to call InitWindow with predefined parameters. So I don't want to, you know, go into getting actual arguments out of this thing yet, right? So I'm gonna just hardcode parameters. Hello from v8. So this is what I'm gonna call in here. And now I'm gonna set another method in here, which is basically InitWindow, and the method is gonna be InitWindow adapter. All right. So, and it doesn't even have InitWindow, as you can see, right? So it's definitely not going to compile, right? Because it doesn't know like what the fuck is InitWindow. So what we'll have to do in here, we'll probably have to include Raylib.h. So, and it can't find that. So I do already have Raylib installed somewhere here. Raylib, here it is. So this is just a lib. Yeah. And now I wonder, like, is it like a feasible idea to statically link Raylib into the SO? It's a very interesting question, actually. So this is going to be home, and I'm going to put this stuff in here. Not like that, but more like this. I feel like I need to start maybe factoring out the C flags into a separate variable, because it's kind of getting out of hands. Right, so it's a little bit too much. So this is a C flags. Well, usually it's a CXX flags, right? So because it's a C++, so CXX flags. So, and in here, the usual trick is just like, you know, separate it with backslashes and stuff. So this is a backslash and boom. Look at that. Does it look Gucci? Does it look Tamaguchi? I think it looks pretty cool. So that means now if I want to add another flag in here, it's just going to be another line in here. Right. So just another line, Cool. Maybe on top of that, I can put shared into somewhere here, like so. Let's try to build the entire thing. And it didn't find shit, right? Because I should have actually pointed at include, not lib. I'm being a little bit silly today. Okay, as you can see, it compiled successfully. It didn't even have any errors with linking or anything, because I never called any of the Raylib functions, or did I? This is sus. It's a it's a shared library. So it will just expect Raylib at runtime. That's what's gonna happen. Is that what's going to happen? I suppose. Just will crash. Yeah, it probably will crash at runtime. All right. So can we just try to require the whole thing in here? Okay. Hello. Okay. Init. Finally. Okay. Can you see what the fuck is going on? Can you see what the fuck is going on? Undefined symbol init window. Fascinating. So it was holding up until the moment I call this function. Huh. So, and it crashes the entire interpreter, by the way. It crashes the entire interpreter. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Okay. So, I wonder if I can maybe have something like libs in here. Right. And So just link with raylib.a statically. Let's try to link with it statically. So it's not going to work. It's going to fail because there's no such file and everything. So classic. What we have to do, we have to point at the place where we can find all that stuff. So this is going to be lib. Hopefully now it will actually statically link all that stuff. Right, I'm explicitly statically linking with this thing, but still there could be some problems with missing math library unless node interpreter actually links with the math library. So let's actually see. I think it does. It should link with the math library. So this is the node. It is elf, and if I take a look at the node, does it link with? Yeah, it does. So there should be no problem with math being available. I think there should be no problem, right? So because it's already in the address space of node and stuff like that. All right, so that's pretty cool. By the way, I think this should be called Raylib. This entire thing should be actually called Raylib because we're making an adapter to Raylib. So logically, it would be maybe nice to get rid of these methods, right? But I want to keep it as an example of what you can do. So I probably want to rename it to hello. Right, so something like that. Okay, so let's freaking go, and I forgot to rename. So this is a Raylib, and let's remove that. So okay, so right. Now I'm gonna require Raylib node. So it's a const Raylib like that. Hell yeah. So maybe this is because I didn't provide /. How do you undeclare a variable in unset or something? Is there something like delete? I don't want to restart the interpreter. Like, I'm not a JavaScript developer, okay? How do you unset a variable, a const variable? Do we have any professional web developers in the chat? You can't. I don't believe you. Node unset variable. I don't fucking believe you. Unset, okay. All right. And not environment variable, but oh, for fuck's sake. Use let, delete. Well, I mean, maybe delete. Okay, let's give it a try. Delete. So it's set false. Nice language, by the way. Nice language. Anyways, I should have literally just used let. Okay, so this is gonna be okay. So we got Raylib. That's pretty cool. InitWindow, and I'm about to call InitWindow. I'm surprised it just, yeah. Absolute shredding. Absolute nodding me. How does it stay? I have no idea. I literally have no idea how does it stay, but we created a window from Node.js. Right, so can I quit the whole thing? Okay, so when I quit the process, it also closes everything. It also closes everything. So the real question is, how do I customize this entire shit? Right, so that's the real question, because it's kind of cool that I had coded all of that stuff, but I mean, this is something that I have to provide from the node, right? So maybe we can have node.js, and in here, what I'm going to do is a Raylib require Raylib like that. So, and in a Raylib, wait a freaking second. Import InitWindow from, it doesn't even highlight that I have an old ass extension. Raylib node. Can I do shit like that? Oh. Damn. Fuck. So what is that? A known file extension node. Are you for real? It could do that, but then it couldn't. Package JSON, yeah, I feel like I remember that also Node had this kind of shit. Where is my tmux? Can I open the tmux? So node help. So it was experimental yeah, here it is. Experimental import support for add-ons. Did I accidentally stumble upon exactly the flag I need, or what? Okay, so maybe I have to do MJS, but anyway. So index.js. All right. So the requesting module does not provide an export name InitWindow. Fuck you, it does. I know that it fucking does. Fuck you. And by the way, it has to be MJS. Somebody suggested in the chat that it has to be MJS and JS mode. Right. So let's give it a try. Module not found. So if I try to do something like that, none of that works. Though, again, surprisingly, I can probably do shit like that. Right. So InitWindow from Raylib node. You're running JS, but I mean, yeah. So import statement inside of REPL use dynamic import const await. Okay. So if I do something like that, none of that worked, but Raylib node apparently will work. I kind of want to use this syntax, but I feel like it doesn't allow me to do that because it's stupid. So it's kind of stupid. Yeah, so I did that. So it didn't really help. And also experimental MJS. I'm gonna try all of the things now. For some reason it doesn't see that. Look at that. It says that it doesn't provide expertise. So it means it managed to load it up, but it doesn't think it provided that. Import everything. Well, no. You see, well, we can probably do that. Yeah, it's just like, nah, it doesn't work like that. It cannot see that. So there's something about the ES6 modules, I think. If you want ES6 import style in your project, packages need a key type module. Well, I mean, I think it's equivalent to flags and stuff like that. We don't even have packaging here. All right, so people are just saying things. So the thing here that is weird is that maybe I have to like declare it public or whatnot. So I don't know. Let's not spend too much time on that. So import need export default function, not export object. Yeah. So there's something wrong like with this C++. Maybe it's not compatible with ES6, right? So for ES6 modules, you have to do something different in here. So let's actually put that aside. Maybe I'm gonna create a to-do, like research how to make it importable as ES6 module, right? So for now, it's a module, it's a node module. So anyways, so what I want to do in here, we need to learn how to explore the args. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that we need to debug this mother flipper. I want to step debug in here. Right, because I want to explore the internals of these objects and just see what's available there. Is it even possible? So let's actually find out. So I have a GF2, which is just a front end for GDB, and I wonder if I can do something like that. Step debugger uvu. Yeah. So GF2, will that do anything? I want to break InitWindow adapter. Can you see what I'm doing? Init. Oh fuck. List maybe truncated max completion reached. Okay, see. Break InitWindow adapter. Yeah. Can I break in there? Function is not defined. You know what? I forgot to compile with debug information. That's kind of important. Without any debug information, you can't really debug anything. So let's do ggdb. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is a ggdb. Though, nah, it's just like, it's not going to be available until it's loaded, right? So whatever breakpoint I put, it's all going to be like retained breakpoint until the function gets loaded and will be available. So I think it's totally fine. So let's actually try to break not at specific name, but at specific source code. Let's break at Raylib cpp at the line of 8 explicitly. Right, so let's break at here explicitly. So breakpoint pending. So all of these breakpoints are probably going to be pending. So now I'm going to try to run this entire thing like so. Index mgs. So index mgs. Let's not do that. Let's do const raylib require raylib node like so. And here we're going to just have a raylib.InitWindow. So let's try to compile this entire thing. I should have not really compiled it. What I wanted to do is just run this mgs thing. And yeah, so it has to be called JS for this specific trick. And cannot find module. So I just want to make sure that I have a working script. It is a working script, and then it didn't even continue. Okay, so let's try to run it in debugger. I have a breakpoint. I'm about to start this entire thing. Fuck yeah. So args, let's take a look at args. So we have isolated index, we have values. We don't really have much types about this entire thing. Damn. It's kind of cool that we got an access to all of that stuff, but without debug information in Node itself, it's kind of useless. Right, it's all kind of useless. But I wonder if Node actually has any debug information within it, because it feels like it doesn't. It feels like it doesn't. It does have debug information. Look at that. So it comes with the debug information. But I mean, like this is useless, like values, and this is another point, implicit arguments. So it's just like none of that is particularly useful. Is that because it's literally defined like that? Is it literally defined like that? Node.js probably doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. So let me try to maybe find the declarations of these things. Raylib cpp. So function callback. Is it a struct of some sort? So we can try to grep. So it is a class, in fact. Okay. So it's a class. That's pretty cool. And if I take a look at this class, there's a lot of shit in here, which is private, by the way. So internal, yeah, so here it's just friends, so none of that really matters. Yeah, and it's not even visible in the debugger. So some of this is const expr, which means it's not even a runtime thing. So this is just declaration of a friends. And by the way, do you guys know what is friend classes and friend methods? So for those who doesn't know, like I don't know how many people here know C++, probably a lot, right? So probably a lot. So it just means these particular functions and these particular classes may access the private methods of this class. Honestly, the fact that such concept exists sounds like a self-admitted failure of OOP concept of encapsulation as a thing, right? So it's just like they admitted, yeah, encapsulation is kind of bullshit, right? So because like without this thing you can't really write anything useful. So it's kind of bizarre, right? So like they self-impose the problem and now they're trying to solve it. So holes in OOP, yeah, holes in OOP. So none of that introduces anything to the class, right? So all of these things are const experts, so that means they're not even runtime. And here, okay, so that explains it. So this is not a problem with the debugger. V8 literally has opaque pointers in here. I thought maybe I just don't have a debugging for. No, it's just V8 being an asshole, not allowing us to explore some things in here. So it's kind of interesting. Like for a second I thought maybe I just like didn't compile it properly, don't have enough. No, it's just like V8 is being an asshole. It's like that's the entirety of the state. It's just like you can't really look inside of it. The to do, okay, so what's that to do? Flatten the V8 info object to avoid indirect loads through values and implicit, and reduce the number of instructions in the call API built-in. Okay, it's kind of funny. Honestly, so far, V8 looks less scarier than I have imagined it. So far, V8, like API of V8, feels like Java with generics. I expected V8 to be something akin to, like, I don't know, akin to Boost, with the absolute fucking metaprogramming, like, madness. But it's actually pretty straightforward. It's basically Java. Huh. It's not as scary, actually. It's not as scary. Well, the fact that web devs managed to rip it off and package it as a separate executable actually tells you that it's not a very difficult API. I'm joking, by the way, I'm sorry. But I'm just saying. Honestly, I think the Node.js developers are actually like very competent engineers. Whoever developed Node.js, I think they're very competent, so they do understand what they're doing. So I'm just like, you know, pulling their legs. Don't take me too seriously. We get so many subs, by the way. Thank you so much for all the subs. I really appreciate that. So yeah, thank you. And like, I don't get any money from that, but I appreciate the gesture, right? So appreciate the gesture. So there's no useful information that we can gather from the debugger, right? So we just have to admit the defeat. So none of that is actually useful. So you can, like, in a function argument, you can get the length. And you get, you know what that means? So you can literally index this entire thing. So that's what it means. Like, you can literally index this entire thing. So we can actually test that maybe on hello. So how would we test all of that stuff? I'm gonna just like comment it out. And essentially what I can do, so if it's a length returns the integer. Okay, so it's an int 0 args length plus I. And then what I can do, I can just like index it with I, because that's what this operator means, right? So it accepts I and gives you the local value. So, and the local is a thing which is rather interesting. So apparently you can dereference it, I think. Right, so definition, yeah, so you can dereference and get the pointer to the value. You can get the pointer to the value. But the value itself, that's an oh my god. Well, it's not as scary as I thought it would be, right? So it's just a hierarchy of different values, right? So yeah, it's just like this is just a thing. You can easily check what type is it. Right, so you can check whether it's is big int, is boolean. Can I get a specific type? So, okay. You can do type of this thing given a specific isolate instance, and yeah, you can then get a local value with a string which tells you the type. So this is something interesting. So we need isolate. Right, let's get the isolate. Then, so because within that isolate, it's probably going to allocate the string that we're trying to get. So then, I probably have to use this arrow, right? I definitely have to use this arrow because it's sort of like a dereferencing in here, right? So it's sort of like a dereferencing. So, and I have to do type of given the isolate. Given the specific isolate, and it gives me the local string. So I can probably dereference it, but then if I want to print that string, can I get its bytes? No. You can write some stuff in there. So string is... yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. Public member. Does it show everything that it inherited as well? Does it show it's inherited as well? Okay, so public. So here's the name. You can get identity hash. So it's a public method of value data. Cast. Yeah, you can cast some stuff. I don't see that. Do you guys know? Is there any way to just get a char star or of some sort? Though, all right, listen, right? Maybe it's one of those things. Get external string resource, maybe that. Get external string resource. And it gives you external string resource base, which is kind of a weird thing. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I'm completely lost in this code base. Yeah, it's a little bit weird. I think I got lost in the string because I'm not quite sure how to get the bytes out of the string. I'm really not sure how to get the bytes out of the string, but maybe I can just print it. Maybe it's just compatible with std like println. Who knows? Maybe it's all abstract and stuff like that. So let's try to build this entire thing, but I actually doubt it's going to do anything. Okay, so obviously it didn't work. No matching function to print the string, right? So, and we got like this kind of stuff. So this is a pointer to the string even. This is a pointer to the string. So we have to get some sort of a method. So we can compare this entire stuff. So I have a feeling that write might be the thing that we need. Write, you have a buffer and you just write into the buffer. Reference no options, we deprecated. Referenced by write. And write. None of that stuff is useful. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to write this whole thing. So probably need to write UTF-8. Write UTF-8. So is it going to write its content into this buffer? Is that what it's going to do? That's a very interesting question. Like, what exactly does it do? There's no documentation. What are you trying to do right now? I'm trying to get the bytes out of the string. Get the bytes out of the string. I'm not very sure how to do that. Because it feels like write just writes into the string. So do step debug will show you the contents of it. That's a good question. Okay, so let me try to take a look at the class. Maybe I'm just like looking at the documentation is not a good idea. Yeah, looking at the documentation is not a good idea. It's kind of weird. Like, there's a lot of methods. I'm probably missing something. Is there a read? Maybe there is a read. Nah. Okay, so is class string. So class string. Is there class string that is no? So do you have like this? End of the... I'm confused. Okay. So, all right, let's try to Google that. V8 string. Oh, all right. So, so convert to and vice versa. Okay, so people are actually like I was hesitant to actually Google it up because I thought that maybe V8 is such an obscure thing that nobody really talks about it, right? But apparently people try to do that. So yeah, CPP string. So new version of it requires also isolate, but here you are converting. Right. So here is the arg UTF-8 value. So you are constructing UTF-8 value out of this thing. Oh my god. So an arg, but you are taking the value, so you kind of explicitly casting it to that thing, which is kind of a weird thing. Right, so here is the isolate. We're using isolate. We're going to be using I, but we're not going to be using argument. We're going to be using type of isolate, so that, because that's what I want to do. And that gives me the CPP string. And I wonder if you can just do something like that. And, you know, just std print ln the whole thing. Can I do that? So there should be like a way to convert it to UTF-8 value. Do you mention UTF-8 value? Okay, so UTF-8 value is a class reference. All right. Converts. So it's a separate class. Converts an object to UTF-8 encoded character array. You get a value. You have to get a value, but string is a value though. String is a value, and then yeah. So when you dereference it, it gives you, yeah, so something like that. It's probably, that's what we want to do in here. So, and in that specific case, I can just print this thing then. All right, so let's try to build this and test stuff. It's kind of bizarre. We're working directly with V8, so that's probably why it's so weird. So call to const eval function. So this specific thing has to be const eval. How do you use println, by the way, the new C++ println, because you have to like have format arguments and whatnot, right? Yeah, so we probably have to do it like that. Thank you so much. Thank you, good cat. Okay, so hell yeah, hell fucking yeah. So now if I try to do, so it should basically print, yeah, this one, we need to modify the script for this one. So we have to do Raylib, and this is going to be hello, and I'm going to say 69420, your mom. So, and I expect it to print integer string, or not really integer, there's no integers in JavaScript, number string or whatever, right? Because that's exactly what we're doing in C++. We iterate into the arguments, we're getting their types, right? So then we converting the types to UTF-8 values, which we then dereference. And I wonder, by the way, can I just do some cursed shit like this? Because it's a bunch of temporary objects that we're creating in here, right? So C++, am I right? Yeah, people constantly criticize me. Like every time I say that I'm doing C++, people tell me this is not a real C++, it's C++. Are you happy now? Is that a C++ enough for you? Or is it not? Does it have to look like Boost? Is it C++ enough for you? Hopefully it is C++ enough for you. Alright, there you go. Are you happy now? It even compiles. Look at that. Look at that. It even compiles. Damn. Alright, so it has to say number string or whatever, hopefully. So didn't even fucking Raylib hello is not a function. Okay. So probably because we exported it as like a small letter. Absolute is the most absolute tuning of them all. Holy fuck. That's so cool. So yeah, we're gonna... Damn! Soon I'm gonna be expert on V8 runtime. It's not... Like, V8 is not that hard. It's actually pretty straightforward runtime. What the fuck? I always thought it's just like some sort of like a 5-hat level machinery or some shit like that. Like, you need to have a PhD to understand V8. We're literally just hacking it from... Like, holy fuck, it's so cool. I really like that. Okay, so hacking on V8, literally on V8. Yeah, println is kind of cool. Println is kind of cool. Makes C++ feel like a proper programming language somewhat. But anyway, so what's interesting is that UTF-8 value accepts any value. It accepts any value. Which means that we can literally print all of these things. So let's try to rebuild the whole thing and let's try to run this entire stuff. Yeah, well, there you go, 69420, man. We converted all of them into strings and we're just printing them strings with C++. So that's actually pretty cool. Anyway, so we need all of that stuff for a very specific purpose. We need that to set InitWindow. Here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing. We expect a very specific arity in here. We expect a very specific arity. So how do we handle like not provided enough arguments or provided too many arguments? Like, do we throw an exception through new type error? The question is, how do you throw an error? That's a very interesting question. Like, how do you throw errors? Let's maybe learn. But at the same time, we can just like do the following thing. We can just do if args length is greater than 0, right? We can just like have default parameters for some of the things, right? So we have width, we have height, and for the title, const chart title, we have empty, and that's the default parameters that we want to have in here. So width, height, and title. And we're only going to change them if you have like enough arguments provided or something like that, if you have greater than 0. So what we have to do, we have to take the 0th argument in here. So yeah, I'm basically writing like add-on that enables Raylib in Node.js. By the way, yeah, that's what I do. So 0 is not a very good default. Maybe, but I mean, I think it's all right default. So we have a value, and value, by the way, may not be a number. It may not be a number. So one way we can do that, we can try to convert it to a number. Oh, look at that. If you try to convert it to a number, you get maybe local. So that means the conversion may fail. So the easiest thing to do in here is probably to check whether it's a number, right? So is a number, and if it is not a number, we still have to throw an error. So it's like requires too many things which I don't want to do. So I think I'm gonna just like do toNumber for now. Just gonna like do the happy path. So, and in case of maybe local, what kind of methods do we have in here? ToLocal, okay. That's very interesting. So you can convert it to local with checking. Like, notice how it returns Boolean. So it converts this may be local to local. If this may be local is empty, false is returned, and out is assigned. So what you can do, right, you can do local value out, and we take a pointer to that, right? So it accepts it as a pointer, and if not, we have to throw an exception. We still have to throw an exception. This is a kind of a cool way to do that, right? So, so ToLocal, and what's funny is that it accepts a template, so that means I can take a numeric or number. Oh, it's actually not number, it's numeric. Okay, it's numeric, and that numeric, does it have, so it's one of the primitive types. JavaScript numeric value, number or big int. So it does have, and you can, how can you get a, oh my god. Well, I forgot about that. I forgot that JavaScript is a toy scripting language. I completely forgot about that. Yeah. No, you can do int 32. All right, so that, maybe that's what you can do then. So to, you can do something like that. To uint 32. That's a good idea. And uint 32 is literally a primitive type, and you get a, okay. So that's actually cool. But in our case, we want to do to int 32. Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm taking everything I said back. It's not toy scripting language. It's a real serious language for serious software development. So you have to do the context, right? So, and the question is, where do you even get the context? Right. So all JavaScript numbers are double student discovers again. Well, I mean, I worked with too many technologies. Quite often I forget. So uint 32 value gives you uint directly. Does it? But I have to apply it to. So this is the method. Okay. So and it returns you maybe. So they all use this context. Where do I get this freaking context? Because like I have an isolate. Does anybody know where I get the context? But anyway. So arg. So where was that? I'm a little bit lost actually. So this is the method. Returns the it's equivalent of to int. Well, I mean, okay. So that's what it is. That's what it is. And what's funny is that you can just dereference maybe. Apparently you can just dereference maybe. Anyway, so I'm just learning things. So I'm sorry for like a little bit being slowed down a little bit. So you int 32, but is there just int 32? Yeah, there is. If there is uint 32 value, there should be int 32 value, which can I just assign it to? Man, okay. I feel like I'm a little bit tired already, so I'm not gonna make a break yet. Give me a second. I'm going to pour some water. Right, I'm going to pour some water. Maybe some sort of an IDE without a completion would be nice in here, but I don't want to set it up. So no break today. Nah, no time for break. No time for break. No time for break. So the problem here is that I think I won't be able to very easily see. Well, I mean, I can put the width in here, and then so I can say width is that. Right. So might as well even do something like this. So then this is going to be height, and this is probably not correct. This is probably not correct, but it doesn't really matter, at least for me. So in this one, so for the title, let's just keep it like that. I want to try to build this entire thing. It doesn't build. Let's take a look at the error. So it has no member int. It does have uint 32 value, but does it have? Okay, so it's called int 32 value because I see it. Okay, so here is the int 32 value. And don't I just do it like that? Or yeah, I think I know what the fuck is going on. I should have actually used an arrow because you have to kind of dereference it. Right, and all of that is not a real point of dereferencing because as far as I know, it's all overloaded, right? So each of this arrow is actually a function call that just does additional shit, right? So because C++ is crazy like that. Okay, so what error do we have in here? No matching function to call v8 value int 32. And yeah, that is a little bit because you have to provide the context. And the question is, what the fuck is a context and where do I get that? All right, so a sandboxed execution context with own set of built-in objects and functions. Okay, so v8 local context, right. Where to get local context? Maybe we can ask LLM. LLM probably knows that. So how to maintain v8 context for future use? Okay, so we have isolate, and I thought isolates are the context, aren't they? So adjacent to where you're storing your isolate, you should be able to just store the context in v8 global context. So here's the Chromium code for example. All right, so let's take a look at the Chromium code. Damn, we're doing some advanced shit. Okay, so you have some, right, so we have some context, cool, but can I just grab a context from an isolate? So I'm not quite sure. All right, so I think I already opened way too many things. So let me close all of that stuff. And so context aware. Wait, so context aware. So this is probably what we have to do. Yeah. So this is probably what we have to do. We have to do this context shit, but maybe we can get the context out of this function callback info, right? So because this is where we get the isolate though. So does it have any context? So this is just a V8, but so you can get the isolate new target. Does anybody know how to get the context? Oh, there's a lot of shit in isolate. So wait. In context. Isolate get current context. Holy shit, guys. Holy shit. Fuck. Is not declared in the scope. Fuck you. Okay. Get the isolate. Fuck. So can it convert maybe int? It's very interesting. So yeah, I have to. Can it just do something like that? So there's no matching operator. Understandable. So that means let's take a look at maybe unwrap time. Yeah, we have to unwrap, but I'm not sure if it has unwrap. What kind of from just? Yeah, from just. You can just do from just, I suppose. This is a freaking Haskell terminology. Who let Haskellers write my browser? What the fuck? Anyway. From just. Okay, so from just, let's fucking go. Fuck you. So it's okay, so it's not the arrow. Damn, all of this like overloading, like I have to really think, like when I put arrow, when I put dot. Okay, so in that, oh yeah, so this is the only mistake. So I'm just trying to find the right combination. Finally, I found the right combination of dots, arrows, and stars. So this one is hide, by the way. So this has to be a hide. All right, this has to be a hide. So hard-coded title. Now, what I want to do, chat, is actually call InitWindow, right? InitWindow with, you know, wide ratio of the screen. Hello from JavaScript. Hello from JavaScript. Okay, so let's try to run this entire thing, and it's probably gonna. I saw a window, and it was actually a white window, and we can take a look at the yeah, there we go. We managed to successfully pass integers in there. So the question is, what if I pass a string in there? What if I pass a string in there? Absolute, yeah. I'm sorry, absolute shading, by the way, absolute shading. So if I pass a string in there, what is it going to do? Okay, it didn't fail. Ah, look at that. I passed a string which is convertible to a number, so it was totally fine. So what if it's not convertible to a number? Is it going to throw an exception? Let's fucking go. So it used the, I don't know what the fuck it did, but it probably set a 0 in there. It probably set a 0 in there. So that's probably what happened. Yes, it did. So it didn't manage to convert. So yeah, maybe failed. Yeah, so maybe failed, but it kind of silently failed. That's the thing. So it can assign to file. All right, so now what we need to do, we need to extract the actual string. Right, so we need to extract the actual string. How are we going to be doing all of that? So this is a hard-coded title, but now, does it even mention the title anywhere? Hard-coded, nah, it doesn't even mention it anywhere, unfortunately. So I need to keep the window for a little bit. What if I put like a while loop in here, while true, for a little bit? So is it going to keep the window? Yeah, it keeps the window. So, and we can see the hard-coded title, so which is nice. Okay, so then I can kill it. So because like I just want to be able to see that like I managed to grab the title. Okay, so if args length is greater than 2, we have to set the title, and the title is going to be, I suppose, the string. So we need to grab the value. Where is the value? Well, let's go to the value. So one of the things the value is capable of doing, you can do toString, which is understandable. But also you can just directly do this thing. Can I directly call string? Looks like I can't, right? So I have to do first toString, and then I have to mess with maybe locals. That's what I have to do. So can I do from just? So we can do from maybe. All right, so toString. Do the UTF-8 string before. Yeah, so but to do the UTF-8 string as before, I have to have the value. I don't have a value, I have maybe local. Right, so I can convert it to local, but only at this expect. So to local, check that rather than you convert maybe local to local is empty, v8 will crash the process. Ooh, this is kind of interesting actually. Maybe that's what we want. To local, right? To string, to local checked, and here is the thing. So we get that, and we can do UTF-8. So this is a UTF-8. By the way, this is 2. With a specific isolate. So isolate, specific isolate. And then we can dereference this entire thing. But I wonder, yeah, so will it live long enough? That's a real question in here. Because I feel like if I just try to do something like that, the object, the temporary object will die, and the reference to this stuff is not going to be valid. So maybe that's going to be the problem. But anyway, so let's try to rebuild the whole thing. What's the error? No matching function to string. To string accepts context. That's understandable. So we can get the current context. So maybe we could keep, can I just do something like that? Context like that. So then I can factor it out to context. And to string is in fact a context. C++ everyone, by the way. C++. So error, base operator, so I don't have to put arrow in here. Okay, that's pretty cool. A nice string, by the way. Can I? No, because I think that's the problem, because it's a temporary object, right? So it goes out of scope and it just gets deallocated, and it probably points at some bullshit. Anyways, so let's try to do that. Let's try to strdupe. I was right. It's actually right. Experienced software developer, by the way. I don't know. I don't. I kind of forgot everything from my C++ experience, even though my first ever job was C++, but it was Qt or Qt, which is not a real C++, you know. Right, every time you say that you worked as a C++ developer with Qt, like hardcore boost level C++ developer will argue, oh, it's not real C++. Right. If your compilation error didn't generate 2 gigabytes of errors, this is not a real C++. It's real C++. Oh, yeah, memory leak, by the way. So it's memory leak. My JavaScript is leaking memory. Yeah. My JavaScript is leaking memory. And honestly, writing bindings for Node.js like that is absolutely excruciating. Do people really write bindings like that for Node.js? Is that a thing that people do? Like just like adapting all of the function calls to this weird ass interface, like trying to integrate with V8. Is that what people do? Because it's a huge ass machinery, honestly, and it's just like, man, masochism. Why is that a memory leak? Because strdup mallocs memory. It is in fact malloc in the memory. Google employee job. Yeah, maybe that's the thing. Yeah, maybe that's the thing. So we finally managed to initialize the window. The next step, believe it or not, would be to check whether like window should close, right? So we need to have another function here. Window should close adapter, and in here we are accepting the arguments, le arguments. Okay, so and we don't really have to return, like we don't really have to accept anything, but we have to return something, and we already know how to work with returns. So what we can do the following thing. We can set, but we have to construct a value. Is there a Boolean value? Yeah, there is a Boolean value, believe it or not. So here it is. A Boolean value. So, but is there like a class for Boolean value? Boolean. Aha. So here is that. Aha. All right. And when I want to construct it, so you can create a new one. So what we probably have to do, we have to do Boolean new. We provide the isolate, and this is the isolate that we have in here. And yeah, so we have to provide the Boolean. So window should close. So that's the adapter. So on top of that adapter, I think we need to have something like begin drawing, right? So begin drawing, which doesn't really do anything except calling begin drawing, and end drawing. So I'm gonna query replace begin and like so. So we have to do now. We have to do the following thing. So window should close. Begin drawing and drawing. So we're providing all of these methods in here, all of these methods. So what I want to try, by the way, is just printing the Raylib object we've got in here. Right, I just want to see what is going to print. There we go. So InitWindow, window should close, begin drawing and drawing. That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. So we initialize in the window, then while Raylib window should close, while it should not close, we do Raylib begin drawing and then end drawing, like so. Okay, so let's try to run this entire thing. Here's the window, and now I can close that window, and it closes gracefully. So that's pretty cool. So absolute charging, we're getting a hang of it. So I want to you know, clear background as usual, the usual thing. Right, let me copy paste this entire stuff. So we're gonna do clear background, and clear background accepts caller. But the question is it going to be an integer or does it have to be a structure? As of right now, it is easier to accept an integer, right? So you don't have to mess with objects or anything like that. But maybe later it will be kind of cool to actually accept both, right? So it's a dynamic language. One thing you can do in such adapter, you can just look at runtime. What type is it? Is it a numeric, a number type, or is that an object type? And depending on what type it is, you can adapt it different to the same like C function. No, it's kind of like you can be creative in here. You can accept both a numeric and an object. I think that's pretty cool. But for now, I'm going to be accepting a numeric. So in here, we already know how to do that, by the way. We already know how to do that. We can just do something like this. So this is an argument. I want to accept uint 32, and I'm going to be unwrapping from just and stuff like that. So I'm going to do clear background, like so, and that's about it. So the context here is not that important, right? So we have to get that context from somewhere. So we can also make this an auto. Yeah, so we can also make this an auto, because why not? I can just quickly replace that with auto, hide all the types because they're getting a little bit ugly. So it didn't work. Let's find out what exactly happened in here. So unsigned, yeah, that's understandable. So you can't really pass an unsigned integer in here. So what you have to probably do is literally cast this entire thing to the caller. So we're gonna do auto caller. So here's the value. We're gonna take a pointer to the caller and we're gonna pawn it to the pointer to the caller, right? The structure, and then dereference that. So we're going to do a little bit of a type pawning in here, a little bit of a type pawning. All right, that's pretty cool. So and now I should be able to do the following thing: Raylib clear caller 0xff0000ff. It's not clear caller, clear background. So that's what we can do in here. Let's go. Oh fuck! Clear background is not a function because I forgot to register it. Yeah. Clear background. Look at that. Look at that. All right. So we can do shit in here. We can do shit in here. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You know what you can do, chat? You can slap micro in here, and you can develop UI in JavaScript. So there's a lot of things you can do with that, with this thing. Your is too small. Yeah, so who needs Electron if you can just like use micro with Raylib directly? All in one speedrun. All in one speedrun. And honestly, just think about it. We're not even using anything fancy in terms of I/O. We probably don't really need libuv. So for what we're doing in here, we could have organized an event loop manually, just like a regular while loops, right? Because again, we're not doing anything super complicated. We don't make anything super like concurrent. Like it's very simple. We don't need libuv. So which means we don't really need Node.js, right? So we could have worked with V8 directly or something. Though we kind of need Node.js for the module system, right? So require, right? We need to be able to do require and stuff like that. So yeah, it would be kind of cool to maybe strip that all off and have just like a single executable that interprets JS, and it allows you to just write efficient like native UI interfaces and stuff like that. So WebGL Canvas, this is all for losers. We're here, road dog, Raylib through the shortest path possible. Exactly, that's what we're doing. Like, there's a lot of things you can do in here, and I have a couple of ideas. Like, this is not just a single one-off stream. I have a couple of ideas on how to evolve this entire stuff into something cool, but I'm not gonna disclose that yet. It's gonna be a surprise. It's gonna be a little surprise. So you'll have to wait for future streams. So today's stream, we were exploring on how to write add-ons for Node.js. What surprised me is that we went so far without using that node-gyp thingy that I don't even know how it is translated. Like, what gyp stands for even? What does it stand for? It's not really clear for me. And like, why do you even need that? Like, maybe to be able to build it for Microsoft Visual Studio or anything like that. But as they said themselves, this is just a simple DLL that just exports a bunch of things. Like, why do you need so much stuff in here? I do not. Okay, so there's some C code in here. So there's a lib. There's a lot of JS in here. Holy fuck. So this is a node-gyp. I don't know. So maybe is like all of that is needed to not scare away poor web devs who are batshit scared of system programming, so they don't have to deal with all of that stuff. But we are system programmers. We're not scared of any of that stuff, so we can just do that. Right. So that was actually a pretty cool session. I didn't know that V8 is in reality so simple. This inspires me to maybe do something like V8 specific. That would be kind of cool. Just grab V8 on its own and just make something with it, like embed it somewhere. Yeah, V8 API is genuinely pretty good, right? It feels like Java. It's just like they managed to keep it just simple. Maybe that was the goal. Maybe they expected that it's going to be sort of like embeddable into different places, so they didn't overcomplicate it too much. To be fair, as far as I know, Google just generally don't like to abuse languages and metaprogramming. Like, they don't like, if you look at the C++ libraries from Google, they're usually pretty straightforward and pretty simple. So they don't like boost style abuse of C++. And this is one of the reasons why they invented Go, by the way. Right, so they like simplicity in that regard, and this is something that they like. We went in expecting it to be like Python.h, but in a C++ way. Yeah, actually, like, I expected it to be like overcomplicated. Protobuf. I never tried Protobuf, by the way. Is Protobuf simple? They have very strict C++ guidelines. Oh yeah, that is true. They do have like a very strict C++ guidelines. In a Go, you don't need to worry about arrows versus dots. Yeah, that's true. Protobuf is actually alright. Yeah, I just realized that I never done anything with Protobuf. Like, usually when I need to pass some bytes over network, I just do that. Right? Like, I never feel the need to use Protobuf because I'm just not afraid of bytes. Like, I don't know. Row bytes, yeah. All right, I guess that's it for today. That was fun. That was hella fun. I really enjoyed it. Thanks everyone who's watching me now. Really appreciate it. Thank you for all of the subs, resubs, recommitments, bits, and stuff like that. And I see you all on the next recreation programming session with, you know who? Mr. Zozin. Love you all. Mwah.